Welcome to the Creative Gem, a podcast which amplifies the voices of creative and underestimated gems. You will hear stories that will empower, educate, and inspire you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and this is the Creative Gem Podcast. Here at the Creative Gem Podcast, we help give underrepresented voices a platform to share their stories and their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, everything. And I am so excited to introduce our guest here. Her name is Kristine, and she's going to tell us about herself. So, hi, Kristine. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Jasmine. Thank you so much for having me. It's really weird to talk about yourself when your job is to talk about and hype up the people that you work for.
Yes.
So bear with me. First and foremost, I am a mom. I'm married to my best friend. And I am a disabilities advocate for independent living. And I run my own public relations firm. Our specialty, people say, is the Asian American market, as well as political organizations, politicians, which is my passion.
Yes, awesome. So we're gonna dive deep into that, like more about what you do. But so Creative Gem, creativity, what sparks creativity for you? Or would you consider yourself to be a creative person?
I mean, in my industry, you have to be creative. You have to think outside the box.
Yes.
I mean, but as I've always viewed myself as an artist, whether it's through, when I was very little, music theater. I also knit. I like to sew. But that's still creative things. I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
but what I enjoy about my particular job is writing for other people. I do ghostwrite, and it's just fun to just release your creative juices into words so that you can connect with other people. And that's the most important thing is for me is to connect with people. And one of the biggest things that people forget is that about understanding and communication is that it is a human need. People are hungry to be understood.
Yes, absolutely.
And with my career, it's my job to help my client to be understood. And that to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It's a passion. And how to get people to understand is, for me, you got to think outside the box. And because people learn and educate themselves and understand more, not with just one particular sense of learning. I mean, you have haptic learners, you have visual learners, you have audio learners, people who learn better with their hands. And I have to interpret my client and their things that they want people to understand and use those means of types of learning. So essentially, I am a teacher and my subject is my client. My client wants to be understood. And who doesn't want to be understood?
Absolutely. It's very important. It's very important to be understood. And I see that passion coming through and I absolutely love it. So who or what inspires you to do what you're doing and just inspires you in life in general?
There's so many different layers of my life that that feeds my passion. And one of the most important things is healthcare. Um my son was diagnosed with a at the time was a rare disease, and I wanted my son to get treatment. And the thing was, we did not know when we were seeking help medically in Virginia Beach, was that he has eosinophilic esophagitis. At the time, they did not even have an insurance code for that disorder. And eosinophilic esophagitis, we break it down in Latin terms, it's white blood cells attacking the GI tract, causing a false allergic reaction. And it it was very emotional to see how my toddler was deteriorating. Like, there were times where, like, I will go into the nursery, he's screaming and crying, and the the room just robust in blood. Like, you can smell blood. And his gut was reacting and his skin was reacting, which is not a very typical symptom. We got into our car, we got into a car one day, the week of Christmas, and I got frustrated. And I said, "Honey, we're not getting answers. We're fighting with our insurance company. Let's go like 4.5 hours away, and let's go to the emergency room to Johns Hopkins University Hospital." And I'm still calling, trying to get appointments, but it takes months to get appointments, because you don't even know what's going on with your kid. So you're just guessing at this point. So I'm like in the verge of tears. I didn't know what's wrong with my baby. Like, but by the grace of God, um a, a doctor overheard what I was talking about and she was actually one of the specialists that specializes in his particular disorder.
Oh, wow.
So the week of Christmas, we were able to get him into surgery, because the only way you could diagnose it at the time was you needed to go under anesthesia and do an endoscopy.
That must have been scary.
It was like your gut, what's happening to him. Like, most families get prepared for a feeding tube for their child weeks, months, maybe a few days. It was just one night's sleep, and then boom, it's there.
Oh, my. Well, how's he doing now?
He's doing great. Actually, we got into a couple of studies, and those studies were actually under Dr. Fauci.
Oh.
I credit Dr. Fauci for being there to save my son's life.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. For our
So,
listeners, tell us about who Dr. Fauci is.
Dr. Fauci is the medical director for contagious and immune diseases. Um, so yeah, he's a fantastic doctor. I'm very blessed to have him.
Awesome. And so now it's like no longer a rare disease.
Yes, a lot of families, we advocated to have that insurance code, and that insurance code, when the person gets diagnosed, your doctor would type that into the billing, and you can easily track how many people are diagnosed with this. The reason why it was considered rare was because we didn't have a way to measure how many people actually have it, because we actually relied on the insurance to tell us, like, okay, this is the coding for this.
Wow. 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 Well, I'm so glad that he's doing better, and he's
Yes.
okay, that's great. That's great to hear. Well, this must have been like a really dark, low time in your life, going through this with your baby, seeing him, hurt. Like, how did you remain positive? Did you have support? Of course, your husband, and just tell us about, how did you, like, did you do any self-care, trying to take care of yourself? Because you got to take care of yourself first before you take care of others, right?
Well, I was
Yeah.
frustrated. I was frustrated with the Medicaid
Yeah.
system. Because I applied and I haven't heard anything. And I am one mama that nobody wants to mess with when she upset.
Yeah.
So, I called my congressman's office and say, "Hey, dude, like, what's
Mhm.
up?"
Mhm.
Like, um, my son only sleeps maybe like 1 to 2 hours at a time,
Oh.
and he was like almost 3,
Wow.
and I am exhausted, and he was on a feeding tube. And most of the time when you're relying on medical equipment, you typically are able to get supplementary assistance through a home nursing care and things like that. Um at the time my husband was working, I was a stay-at-home mom, and the only foods that was sustaining my son was my breast milk and the feeding tube. At that time I lost
Mm.
an incredible amount of weight. Um because I have to eat what he eats in order for me to have safe milk for him. And I come to find out, like, in Virginia at the time, medical food was it was optional for private insurance to actually deny your claim because it's considered food and not a medication.
Wow.
So paying $6,000 a month outside insurance. I am thankful that I have a community that would help me make make the difference on what we could not give him. I mean, $6,000
That
is a hefty
is
car
so
payment.
much money. That's so much money. Wow. Wow.
So I worked with other families state by state. I also worked with the Every Life Foundation, trying to get like these really rare diseases to be diagnosed early. Um, I just it was really difficult. And I would talk to anybody and everybody who's willing to listen. What Cuz I wanted other people to understand what my family's going through, just to be understood. But to relate is like a bonus because I wanted awareness. Because in my mind, I knew it was rare because the lack of diagnosing.
Right.
Not because it was metabolically rare. It was because of the lack of diagnosis.
And there are so many people, suffering because doctors don't have a name for what they have, and are not able
Yep.
to treat them properly. So it's
It wasn't a few years ago until the military actually started
mhm.
testing their service members for this
Oh,
disorder.
okay. Wow.
But I had actually I started bringing on my own awareness. Then, like, I started doing my own press, pitching stories like,
Hmm.
"Listen, like, we have a problem. Medicaid is broken, and I need your help."
Hmm. Did you get response from that?
I got a lot of responses. A lot of my interviews I did, like, not just here locally, but I did national and international news, and I, like, kept sharing my story.
Mm.
And after my son got better, I thought to myself, "What about these other families?" And that's when I started really falling in love with PR because I understood that the human need was to be understood.
Absolutely. Yes.
In high school and going into college back then, like, I started going to school for marketing, started going to I started going and taking classes with just a little bit of PR here and there, but it was when it was really crystal clear this is what I was supposed to do, is to get people to be understood.
Absolutely. Yes. And so that answers my question. I was going to ask you, how did you transition from stay-at-home mom to getting into starting your own, business, your PR business? I think you answered some of that.
Yeah. I mean, the short answer really was I just wanted to provide for my family.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a medically fragile child, what person's going to hire you if your kid randomly has to like go to a doctor's appointment or is sick all the time?
Right. Yeah.
Like I how would I like be able to earn enough leave?
Yes, I totally understand. Yes. So you got to create your own business. You're
Yes.
able to create your own schedule, and you're able to be there 100% for your son.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, without having to like request time off and leave early, and then you lose money by leaving early. So
I
that
had to
is
be entrepreneurial.
yes. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the clients that you serve and what like exactly you do for them. I know you help them to be understood. What
Yes.
else is entailed in that?
I'll do ghostwriting stuff for blogs, different articles,
Mm-hmm.
op-eds, things like that. I I book interviews and things like that, but I also foremost be there for them because they're sharing a piece of their life that they had to live through, but they have to verbally express to other people. And sometimes I have clients that are not only emotionally invested, but are still searching for those words to be heard. And sometimes you just have to be there, not behind them, but next to them. And that's what I feel is what your PR person should be, not behind you, next to you, and let you know, like, hey, I'm here for you.
Yes, I love that. Goodness, I want you to be my PR person. Oh my gosh. You're amazing. Okay. Well, going off of that, I know you the clients that you serve, are they largely like in the Asian community? I believe you
Yeah,
said that before. Okay, so what's something happening in that community that you feel very passionate about?
there's a lot of things. We're still going through that period of Asian hate, and um, but I want people to understand, myself being an immigrant American, a lot of us first, second generation grew up having to interpret for their parents and had to work extremely hard. And what I mean extremely hard is not only do we have to work hard to fit in, but we kind of have to go up and beyond because we have to prove that we're more American than Americans. But then when we go back home and close our doors, we have to be as more part of our immigrant culture than everybody else. And those are it's two worlds that are like oil and vinegar, but somehow you shake it up and it just works. And when people look at me and look at my family and they they have their own they have their own idea of stereotypes.
What are some of those? Go ahead.
Man, like I've my son came home and was telling me that people think that we eat dog or like we they just make fun of our eyes and the way we do certain things or we pronounce certain words. And I've always told my kids, you are American first. You are American first. Being Filipino is integrated in that weave that we put together in your life because that's part of your ancestors. And I always tell my kids and remind them, you are American first. This country is founded by immigrants.
Yes, it was.
Some
Absolutely.
they were forced to immigrate here. Some actually came and decided to be here. But it doesn't matter how you got here, you're still American.
Absolutely. Yes. Wow. Yes. So definitely Asian, like things going on in the community, Asian hate. As a PR person, like how do you like cover that story? Like how do you help your community be understood just from a PR standpoint?
I always start from the beginning. How did we get here? How did we get here? What was our expectations when we got here? What is the expectations of other people? And I always start with that. How did we get here? What are the expectations to hit those goals? First and foremost, we talk about the goals first, but then also talk about the past a little later. The reason being is we want to be recognized by the goals we hit, not what happened in the past.
Love it. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So you're very passionate about, helping people be understood. What do you like? What do you want to be known for? Like, I know it's a big question, but what do you want to be known for?
A great mom.
Yes.
A great mom.
Absolutely. You definitely are.
And being the best friend I can be for my husband. That's it. That's all for me.
Love it. So what are some of your goals for your business? Are you serving more? You're looking to get more clients? Like how would somebody need to try like work with you?
I'm always looking for new clients. I do want to say I do love the people I work with, for sure. My company, we are women who want to work from home, but we want our kids to know that we are there for them too at the same time. And that is really important to me, is that when we work, it's family oriented, and the clients that I'm looking for are people who value family. And it doesn't matter like whether it's like your traditional mom and dad. Family is people who are there for you and support you and not judge you, but always have your back. And the people I work with, that's how I view them, is they have my back, I have theirs.
Awesome. Okay, so how would somebody how would somebody go to your they would just go to your website and say, and fill
We're
out
on
a
all the
form?
socials. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I was telling, just so if you want to, listeners, if you want to reach out to Kristine and have her help you be understood, and just go to her website. It'll be in the show notes, and you can also DM her. She's on Facebook, all the places. So, is there anything else you wanted to share with us?
Be kind. Just be kind. Be kind to others, but more importantly, be kind to yourself. Because you own your own body and your own spirit. Be kind to it, because that's the only one that you're going to get.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And those are wise words. and something we often don't think about, being kind to ourselves. So, thank you. All right, guys. Well, this wraps it up. Thank you for listening. Again, please reach out to Kristine, and the website is going to be, tell us the website.
www.cultivate8mediastrategies.com.
And if they wanted to help you raise awareness for this, the disease that your son has, how would they help you do that?
There are various nonprofit organizations. There's AtFed. They're a really big organization that funds research. The Food Allergy Association, they also fund research for eosinophilic esophagitis. There's a lot of other organizations out there that give. And
okay.
I mean, the only way we can do it is fund research.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, funding research, raising awareness.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here today. And you guys follow, subscribe, like this podcast. And thank you guys for listening. You're a gem.